Hey, welcome back. So today I thought I'd compare the iPhone XS, which was kind of like the iPhone 11 Pro of 2018, to the iPhone 11, so a newer budget phone versus an old Pro phone. Which one would be better if both phones are in the same price range? So at the time of recording this video, you can buy an iPhone 11 from Apple for about 850 Canadian dollars, a used one for about 650, and you can find an iPhone XS for about 450. Now, yes, I know there's at least a $200 difference, but I think these phones still fall into the same category of budget phones. I would say a phone that costs maybe $400 to $700 could be considered a budget phone. So that being said, let's find out which one would be better in 2021. Let's start with the design. Now, to be honest with you, these two phones are very similar from the outside. I think both phones have a really nice design. Both are very well built phones with glass on both sides. However, yes, the iPhone XS does have a stainless steel frame, and if I'm being honest with you, I kind of like that. It's obviously a little more premium than aluminum and arguably a little more durable. But other than that, there really isn't a big difference when it comes to the design. If you're someone who likes using cases like me, I'll link some good ones in the description below. Now, the one big difference between these two phones is the screen. The iPhone 11 has a 6.1-inch screen and the iPhone XS has a 5.8-inch screen. However, in case you didn't know, the iPhone 11 has a 720p LCD screen, where on the other hand, the iPhone XS has a much better Full HD Plus OLED screen. So the iPhone XS has a pretty big advantage when it comes to screens. Now, I'm not saying the iPhone 11 has a terrible screen. It's actually a pretty good LCD screen. In real life, it honestly doesn't look that bad. You probably won't notice a difference unless you have both phones side by side. The slightly bigger bezels on the iPhone 11 compared to the iPhone XS is something you might actually notice, but once you put on a case, it's not that noticeable. So on paper, the screens of these two phones are very different, but in real life, not so much, and I think that's a good thing. But in my opinion, where these two phones really shine is no doubt the performance and cameras. So the iPhone XS is running Apple's A12 Bionic processor, and the iPhone 11 is running Apple's A13 Bionic processor, but both phones have 4 gigs of RAM. And like I said in my previous video, although the A13 Bionic processor is more than a year old now, it's still very good, super reliable, and it'll be more than enough for most things you'll do on your phone. Here's what I would say about the A12 Bionic processor. Take the same sentence and just bring it down a notch. Lower the intensity just by a little, and you would get my opinion about the A12 Bionic processor. Simply because it's true. When it comes to performance, both phones are very similar. At least that's what I think from my experience. Yes, the iPhone 11 is slightly better. You might notice slightly better performance when playing graphically intensive games, but when it comes to performing everyday tasks like calling, texting, emails, browsing, watching YouTube, and things like that, you'll barely notice a difference. So if you were concerned about the performance from these two phones, I honestly don't think you should be, as long as you're not a hardcore gamer. But even if you are, I guess you could go for the iPhone 11 or even better, the 11 Pro for great battery life, just to be on the safe side. But overall, I'm very happy from the performance of these two phones. Okay, the cameras. So both phones have 2 cameras on the back. They both have a wide-angle camera, but only the iPhone 11 has an ultra-wide-angle camera. The second camera on the iPhone XS is a 2x telephoto camera, and if you know me, you know I really like the ultra-wide-angle camera. It's definitely not as sharp as other cameras, but I just like it because the type of photos sometimes you can get with this camera. But that doesn't mean the iPhone XS has bad cameras. In my opinion, both phones can take amazing photos, including selfies, and the videos also look really good. However, the iPhone 11 has night mode, which is pretty good by the way, but you don't get that on the iPhone XS. So at night, the iPhone 11 will definitely take better photos. However, during the day, both phones can take really nice photos and videos. But if you ask me, I would definitely choose the iPhone 11 over the iPhone XS if we're only talking about the cameras. Finally, the battery. Okay, so the iPhone 11 has a 3110 mAh battery, and the iPhone XS has a 2658 mAh battery. And just by looking at the numbers, you may think the iPhone 11 has better battery life, and you would be right, it's true. At the time of recording this video, on the iPhone XS with 82% battery health, I'm getting close to 4 hours of screen on time. But it's important to note that I normally don't charge this phone all the way to 100%. I usually unplug it around 80%, and the iPhone 11 with 89% battery health is still averaging close to 6 hours of screen on time. Now, yes, I know if I fully charge the iPhone XS, I could probably get 30 to maybe 50 more minutes of screen on time. But still, the iPhone 11 gets a little more. I think if both phones had 100% battery health, and if both were fully charged, in my opinion, both phones will get around the same screen on time. But the reason why I say the iPhone 11 has better battery life is because it's a newer phone compared to the iPhone XS. If you were to find an iPhone XS and an iPhone 11 in the used market right now, chances are the iPhone 11 will have more battery health, which would automatically mean it will have better battery life. I hope that makes sense, and that's why I think the iPhone 11 has better battery life. Now, which one should you buy in 2021? Which one would be better? Okay, so we talked about 5 things: the design, screen, performance, cameras, and battery. In my opinion, the iPhone 11 does 3 of these things better than the iPhone XS. So does that mean you should buy the iPhone 11? Do I recommend the iPhone 11 over the iPhone XS? Well, Kinda. Here's what I would say. Both phones are great, but if the screen is not a problem for you, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't go for the iPhone 11. And just in case you're wondering, I'm currently using an iPhone XS. So yeah, there you have it. That's it for this video. If you want to know more about these phones in a little more detail, you're welcome to check out the 2 separate videos I made about these 2 phones. I'll have all the important links in the description below. If you're still watching, thank you. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like it and subscribe. That's all. I'll see you in my next video. Later.